Hey, tennis fans, you are listening to Matchpoint Canada, the official podcast of Tennis Canada. We are also members of the Tennis Channel Podcast Network. This episode brought to you by 10XTO and Fielding Estate Winery. Thank you to 10XTO for the episode. And Mike, as we chat, we have the Olympics on the horizon. We had a comeback from Rafael Nadal, and we had you visiting a pro tennis tournament in Quebec.
Yeah, it's a lot going on to talk about on today's episode for sure. It's got me excited because we got some big clay court things coming up. Obviously, the National Bank Open is approaching quickly as well, the marquee
Yeah.
event in Toronto and Montreal on hard court. And yeah, I got to attend a smaller hard court tournament, which we chatted about last week. I was in Granby last week when we recorded. Apologies again to any of our listeners for any glitching that was going on there. The Wi-Fi at my hotel, not the greatest. But I'm back at home in Toronto and happy to recap a little bit of what happened there. Some pretty solid results for some Canadian players, despite the fact that Alexis Galarneau was not able to defend his title from a year ago. But there were still a lot of positives on the Canadian side, including a doubles victory from two Canadian women, Mia Kupres and Ariana Arseneault, who are our guests this week on Matchpoint Canada as well.
Yeah, perfect time to really chat with both of them, and it was great to sort of follow along. Obviously, I couldn't watch much. I did watch some match highlights of Kayla Cross, who's also been a friend of the podcast, who you spoke to earlier in the season. I think she had a really big result, making the finals in Granby, and then a good result on the doubles side for the men. Justin Boulay, who's also been a guest on our podcast, and we spoke to his mother earlier in the season. He and Joshua Lapidat made the finals in men's doubles. So ultimately, for ITF/Challenger event, pretty good week, I would say, for the Canadians.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think tournament organizers should be happy about it. The fans there loved it. I mean, they were just great tennis fans, like true tennis fans. They'd applaud both players, even if one was not Canadian. Certainly, they supported all the Canadian players, French Canadian players. And they were just like polite, respectful tennis fans. Like even when the ball kids would rotate, mid-match, all the spectators would clap and cheer for them. And I just
Nice.
thought it was really endearing and a sign that they love their tennis and they cheer the right kind of way, it was a wonderful event. I'd love to go back next year and do it again. And having the men and women there is cool as well. And catching up with those Canadian players, like you mentioned, I got a great shot of Justin Boulay with his mom, Patricia, after one of their practice sessions. And like, look, people of my vintage, early 40s and a little bit older will remember Patricia Boulay. She was Canada's #1 female for a while. She was inside the top 100 for sure. I think pushing top 50.
About top 30, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Fourth round at the US Open, if my memory serves me
Hmm.
correctly as well. And now she's got two kids who are, doing their thing as well, trying to make it. So it's cool to see. Great young talent. Like you said, Kayla Cross, fantastic. And let's take a listen to my interview right now with two other young emerging Canadian talents with Mia Kupres and Ariana Arseneault. Really happy now to be joined by two emerging Canadian tennis players. They both had a big week in Granby, winning the women's doubles title together. During the regular year, they're at school, NCAA players down playing the college route in the United States, but they're back up for the summer swing here in Canada. And I couldn't be happier to welcome back to the podcast Ariana Arseneault, and for the first time, Mia Kupres.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Super excited.
Great to have both of you here. Ariana, you're a bit of a pro on Matchpoint Canada, so you can show Mia the ropes. But Mia, I know we've talked about having you on, and we talked about that, in fact, in person last week in Granby, and then this big result. So, Mia, why don't we talk with you a little bit about what clicked for you guys as a doubles tandem this week on the court in Granby?
I mean, we're really good friends off the court, and I feel like we just have a really good vibe, sort of like friendly vibe off the court, and that really helped kind of since we've never played together. So I think that helped at the start. We were already like really comfortable with each other. And yeah, I think just being like playing our games and being really confident right from the start, I think we were both confident in our doubles abilities after like playing multiple seasons of college tennis. So there was kind of no nervousness, I feel like, and no hesitation in the first few rounds. And that's really helped us like get through it.
And Ariana, how about for you? What was really working between the two of you this week? By the way, your first time playing together? Get out of here.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well, Ariana, sorry, go ahead and tell me about what your week was like, and then maybe you can also speak to how this clicked on the first go around.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with her. I think we had really good chemistry, and obviously we're friends off court. So we're able to communicate really well. And obviously being college tennis players, I think that definitely helps a lot because there's a lot of emphasis on doubles in college. And I think we are just able to communicate when things weren't going right. And I think our games really matched up too. We're both super aggressive. We both have really big serves and active at the net. So I think everything just clicked. We were super excited to play together before the tournament even started. So I think that excitement kind of led into that first match. And after we got that first, match win, we knew that, we had what it took to beat the best, seeds in the tournament, which we did. And the more matches we won at the tournament, the more confidence we got, the more comfortable we got. And yeah.
That's really impressive right off the bat to have such. I guess you're going to have to play more doubles now moving forward.
We've definitely discussed it.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about keeping this pairing going.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Match Point Canada. If you'd like to follow along every week, give us a like below. Hit the subscribe button as we're trying to make 15,000 subs.
So tell me, I mean, I knew you were friends, you're very familiar with each other, although you're at different schools in the States, but how come this was the first time you were able to get together on the same side of the net?
I mean, I don't think we've actually played that many tournaments, like of the same tournaments in the last few years, just because of like college schedules and stuff. Like it just didn't really line up. And yeah, I think that's why.
I didn't do the summer swing last summer because I was injured all summer. So we never got the opportunity to do that. And yeah, I guess, like she said, even in juniors, we never even played many of the same tournaments other than like nationals, I guess. Like we never really played the EFs and stuff. I am 2 years older too. So those kind of didn't align sometimes.
Well, I can't wait to see what your follow-up act is going to be to this one. So it's obviously a great start.
We're super.
How long have you two known each other? I mean, Ariana, I know you grew up in Ontario, but Mia, you're from out west, I believe, Edmonton, correct?
Yeah.
So at what point did you two first meet and get to, first, I don't know, see each other at a tennis tournament or whatever? And then when did the friendship sort of begin?
I mean, I remember seeing Ariana at like U12 nationals when I was like 10 years old in Calgary. And I mean, she was like one of the top like people like players in Canada in that age group. And I don't know, I was kind of like thought she was so cool. Like she was making it like far in nationals and stuff. I thought she was so good. She definitely like didn't know who I was back then because I was like 10 and it was my first nationals, but that's like my first memory of her.
And Ariana, how was it from your perspective? I mean, it's always different when you look up to someone or you're younger. And let's be honest, I'm sure now it doesn't make a difference the 2 years, but when you're 10 and 12, that's definitely something.
Yeah. I mean, I remember her from, nationals like U14 probably starting from then. And then I don't think we were ever like too close in the juniors, but once we both got into college, we both started traveling and doing a few camps with Tennis Canada and playing the same pro events. So I think that's when like the friendship really started. So and then we've been doing more and more of those together, and now the doubles. So I think it's just grown on and off court, which has been awesome.
That's great. And obviously the friendship and knowing each other so well, that has to translate into being doubles partners where like communication is so key. And you two have proven that. So that's terrific. The NCAA tennis that you played during the year, then when you transition to these pro events in the summer, how hard of a transition is that? And when you win at this level, what does that do for your confidence and belief in terms of being future full-time professional tennis players?
Oh, you can go ahead.
I think that I do think the doubles in college and pro is very different, or just the atmosphere in general in college and pro. We're really used to our one sets in doubles and being super engaged like every single point because it's so short. So I think that we brought that energy for the entire match. So we had, like okay, let's go get it, not waste any points, not waste any times kind of energy.
So that's how it is. Sorry, in college, it's just a one set in doubles?
In dual
One-
matches, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I think that was in our favor, just like being present like as soon as we stepped out on court, especially like our first match. I think that was an advantage. And level wise, again, like I think doubles is really emphasized in college. So I don't know, it's different, especially playing with a lot of internationals. Even in like, Canada, we played two girls from Asia in the finals. And their style of doubles is much different. But it's interesting. I think that, we handled it well.
Obviously, yeah. And Mia, how about for you? What is this week and the achievement, do for your confidence moving forward, playing at this level compared to college?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty like confident in our skills and abilities even going into the tournament, because I've actually played Ariana in doubles, like against her multiple times since I've been in college. And I knew that she was a really good doubles player and that we had the level. And I think we definitely showed that. And it gives like a lot of confidence for like being able to kind of keep up like after multiple matches, because that's kind of like what you miss in college. Like you're not playing like day after day, like it's not a draw. So I think we showed up like multiple days in a row, like playing high level doubles, and that definitely gives more confidence like going into the next pro tournaments.
I want to talk about maybe put you guys on the spot in terms of speaking about each other for a moment, both as doubles partners on the court. What's the best quality that each other, you think, your partner brings to the table, and also off-court quality about them that you really appreciate as well? And maybe Ariana, you can go first.
Okay. I think that best quality on court as a doubles team, just being super open to what like what I have to say, and to like advice that I give. And like I think a lot of people are really defensive and don't appreciate when you kind of give them advice, or you tell them to like stay positive. And I was able to just like speak freely, and I think that's what makes the communication so well.
And what's Mia's best quality as a doubles partner?
That is Mia's best quality.
Got it.
Yeah. Just like being like
that she listens to you, is it?
Well, not just listens, but just like is super open-minded. And I think that's really important, just being a good doubles partner, and not even just like the tennis part. Because if you're not a doubles partner, then the doubles, like the match is just not going to work, because it's a two. Tennis is an individual sport, but doubles is a two-person sport. And if you're not working together, then it's not going to work.
For sure. And what about off court? What do you like about Mia's personality, or her as a person that clicks with you off court?
I think honestly kind of the same thing, that she's very like open-minded, and how do I word this? Very just I'm able to like be myself around her, and she's like, not judgmental, and very friendly and attentive to, when things are not like, when I need advice and that type of stuff. Just super open-minded and friendly, and she doesn't judge.
Nice. Mia, good luck living up to all those positive things that she just said about you.
I'll try my best.
Mm-hmm.
I think on the court, like one thing that I really appreciated playing doubles with Ariana was she's like, I think of her as like fearless. Like when we were playing together, like she would just go for it at the net with like no hesitation and like put balls away. And that kind of like inspired me to just go for it and like not hold back. And I think that's what we were doing so well. We were doing really like 1-2 punches really well, and just like getting rid of the ball and having like quick points like that. A lot of them went in our favor. And yeah, she did like such a good job, I feel like, closing balls at the net. And then it kind of just made me more comfortable and like less nervous. Like I was just going to do that too. So that's definitely, and also like holding me accountable, I feel like, and just our like the same thing she sort of said, where being open-minded and we could just like be honest with each other, like when maybe like the energy dropped and we weren't playing some points how we wanted to, like getting it right back and with no kind of like defensiveness.
Cool. And how about off court? What do you like about Ariana's personality and just her as a friend?
Well, she's one of like the friendliest people I've ever met. Like I really love her bubbly and goofy personality, and it kind of like I feel really comfortable around her. Like I can be myself and we can just have like joke around and stuff, and it's just really enjoyable.
So great to hear that. This is like the template for the perfect doubles tandem. We could just,
Yeah.
market this or something, I guess. Was there any time for any celebration in Granby, or afterwards was it just like got to pack up and move on to the next stop?
Yeah, I mean we got home like late Saturday, and just went and had like a nice dinner. But yesterday took the day off today, back to training tomorrow.
It's pretty rare to have a couple of days off, I would imagine. So that in itself sounds like a celebration.
Yeah, it was nice to have a bit of a break and just relax.
Watch a movie yesterday, just did
normal
some
stuff.
Yeah, when you're on the road, you don't have much energy for anything else.
Where do those, this is a question I like to ask sometimes to tournament winners, and if Ben was here, he'd make fun of me for it because I do it all the time. But where do the trophies end up, and where are they? I guess right now they're in a suitcase, or you've already got yours on display at home, Ariana?
Yeah, it's like right up there.
with all the other ones, right?
Yeah.
Where do yours end up? Oh, there it is.
Mine is currently in my suitcase, but I'll be bringing it back home to Edmonton and putting it on my shelf.
Cool.
So that's where it'll be living.
Yeah, right on. It's a nice little trophy, but I got to say, and no disrespect to the doubles trophy, but the singles trophy was really something else there, if you saw that.
Yeah.
Next year.
That's it. Next year, right? Okay.
Doubles players love.
Now you're in Toronto, and for those who aren't familiar, there is, for the Women's National Bank Open, there's always a pre-qualifying tournament. I'm not quite sure why they don't do it for the men. Maybe you do, you two know, I'm not sure, but always for the women, pre-qualifying. Can you explain to our listeners what this event is? Because it's not really super publicized. I don't think generally it's, I don't know if it's open to the public or not. There's no tickets being sold, but for those who aren't familiar, maybe you can just shed a little light on what this is all about.
Yeah, it's like I think it's like an invitation only sort of tournament organized by the federation, and it's just I think there's 16 girls just kind of in our age range, sort of like I don't know if like up and coming, I guess, just girls that can't get into the tournament with their own ranking but have been having good results on the pro tour or in college or on the junior level, and it's kind of just a mix. And then we play out the draw. It's a draw of 16, and whoever wins the tournament receives a wild card to the qualifying of NBO.
It's quite a grind just to hope for one of 16 spots to get into the qualifying, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's a great opportunity just to play matches even if you don't get the wild card against quality players. It's also being hosted at Aviva a few days before the actual qualifying starts, and it is open to the public, FYI, if anyone.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Do you know why the men's tournament doesn't have pre-qualifying? I've never heard of it on the men's side.
I haven't heard anything about that one. I know there was a little chatter going around about it, but then it never happened, so I'm not too sure.
Yeah, well, great opportunity for you ladies, of course. And Ariana, how many times have you participated in this one before?
I have participated. I think this might be my third time. Last summer I was injured, so I didn't play it last year. But yes, I think this is my third time.
And Mia, how about for you?
I think this is my fourth time playing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, look, you're close with many of the girls, women in this event, obviously. You know each other very well, being, emerging Canadian talents. How difficult is it during that week? I know now it's like all smiles and everyone's happy and everything. Is it tough during that pre-qualifying when there's only one spot up for grabs? Or are you already used to competing against each other at different tournaments that it's really no big deal?
I think.
Oh,
Go ahead.
okay. I mean, from like my own experience last year, it's kind of still somewhat fresh. I honestly didn't feel any tension in the camp. I mean, the girls were all pretty, like, really friendly towards each other, and it was good training. And yeah, I think everyone kind of just understands, like, everyone wants to get the most out of the training opportunity. I mean, a lot of girls that are here this week don't have like a structure where, like, a training structure where there's lots of other girls to hit with. So I think even that in itself is like an opportunity to take advantage of. And we're all like used to competing against each other. So there's no like weirdness, I don't think.
Yeah, right on. Ariana, would you say the same?
Yeah, I think obviously in the back of your mind, you always have that competitiveness where you want to beat your fellow Canadians. But I don't think tension wise or anything like that is an issue, especially once you get a little older on the pro tour. You start to mature out of those thoughts and really just focus on yourself and not really who's across the net from you. So you take every opportunity as it comes.
Don't tell me you're already feeling like you're getting a little bit older at your age.
I mean, like, getting out of college, really a pro circuit now.
Compared to Mia, I guess. Is that it? Yeah.
Compared to the juniors.
Hey, tell me, and maybe you don't know, but after the success you had in Granby, is there any talk or an ask about a potential doubles wild card into the National Bank Open women's doubles draw?
We definitely asked and there was talk, and there's no guarantee, but you never know. I think is
fingers crossed. We'd love to see it, obviously.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic when you get to see the more Canadians in the draw, the better. Fans love it. Awesome opportunity for you as well. So yeah, we'll cross our fingers, and our listeners and viewers will do the same for you, I'm sure. Before we wrap up here, I just want to ask, it's summertime, and even though you're working the grind of all these tournaments, do you have any time during the summer to have any sort of typical plans or anything to look forward to that's non-tennis related? Ariana, we'll go with you first because you got a big smile there. So
well, I did take a little trip after I graduated to Europe. Took some time off after season, which was nice and refreshing. And then I had a big training block before Granby, just to prepare. And then I took a 2-3 day camping trip with my family, like a week or two before Granby. And then
can I ask you where you went this year? Because my family were big campers too, the Ontario Provincial Park scene. So did you go to Arrowhead again, or where did you get to?
Again, yeah, that's our main spot. We always go there, try to even get the same campsite.
Nice. That's a great spot for winter camping too. They have like a skating trail through the woods in the winter time, and
yeah,
it's beautiful. Yeah.
It is.
Mia, how about you? Any summer plans that you can look forward to off the tennis court?
Well, as of right now, like, the rest of my summer is pretty tennis oriented, but
Okay.
I mean, before Granby, I was home for like 6 weeks after the semester ended. And yeah, it was just, I didn't do anything major, but it was really, really nice to be home with my family. I think I kind of was missing home more than I realized. And it was, even though I was like training a lot, I had a intense training block. It was just being home, like, in that familiarity was like relaxing in itself, getting to spend time with my parents and everything. So yeah, that was really nice this summer.
I'll bet that sounds nice. I'm sure after a long season being away from home that it's the comforts there, being around family and having some nice home cooking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hey, what are the plans beyond the National Bank Open for both of you in terms of tournaments? Can any of our Canadian fans expect to catch you anywhere here on home soil before you head down to the States? Mia, if you want to go first with that one.
Yeah, I am planning on playing. There's a W35 in Saskatoon right before I'm supposed to go back to school, so I'll be playing that.
Okay.
And stay tuned for us in the doubles draw there too.
Okay.
Yep, that's already settled.
Is that going to be the only event you get to play as well, Ariana, before you head back down south?
I graduated. I'm done with school.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Congrats. Sorry, forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so then tell us, what's your more extended plans beyond NBO?
So Saskatoon's on the list. I might play a tournament right before that. It's not confirmed yet. I'm still trying to see where my ranking's at to make a set schedule for after Saskatoon. You know, there's like a few different options, some 35s or some 60s. But yeah, there's no set plan, just trying to see where my ranking is in the next few weeks. And you know, budget and all that type of stuff.
I'm
But
sure.
I'm really to, you know, not go back to school and really start the pro grind.
Yeah, different vibe for sure. Well, look, congratulations. I'm sure Auburn's going to miss you tons. And
Yeah.
great to have you back on the podcast. Let's keep this going, make it an annual thing. And Mia, now that you've had your first Match Point Canada experience, I hope it was a positive one for you. So we'd
It
love to have
was
you
for
back.
sure.
Awesome. We'd
I'd
love
love
to
to
have
be back.
you back as well. So, hey, good luck with the training block in Toronto and pre-qualies. I hope you don't draw each other in the first round there. And again, fingers crossed for a potential doubles wild card. And even if it doesn't happen, then look out Saskatoon, because you guys are going to cause some trouble there too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It was fun.
My pleasure. Thanks.
There you have it, Mike's conversation with Canadians Mia Kupres and Ariana Arseneault, who won the doubles title of the women's 75K in Granby this past weekend. I mean, Ariana, I feel like she's a player who, Mike, especially for you, you've sort of tracked the progress of her career since she was a junior to leaving for college and now 22 years old and trying to make it as a pro. And obviously a result like this at a tournament like this is a huge step.
Her family and mine share a passion for camping. So that was, I think, one of the initial connections, was when I found out that they camped at one of the same provincial parks here in Ontario that my family likes to camp at. And yeah, it's great to see the development and the progress that they're making, both playing NCAA tennis and, working their way through their college careers as well. And we've seen it before. We've seen players go this route and then turn professional.
Yep.
And I think it's fantastic. It gets an education. Even if you don't finish the degree, you can always go back and do it later. And at least you've started that. It gives you something to fall back on after a professional career. And the tennis is top notch as well. And we're seeing these players transition from NCAA during the year to these types of events in the summer, and they're not skipping a beat. And of all our Canadians playing down south, Mia and Ariana are the two that are having the most success with the singles doubles combination. And so there's just another, positive to mixing in the doubles when you can, I think, as a young player.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you're young and you want to feel like you can play deep in a week in a tournament. Okay, maybe the singles didn't work out and you fall early, you still have something else to lean on. And I think, we've talked about it with other players, and Layla felt this way playing a lot of doubles last year, made her singles game stronger, and she's still been playing it this season. I think it always can help just grow and develop your tennis. So that's why we were seeing, I mean, Liam Draxel was in the doubles this past week in Granby too, lost a little early in singles, but got a couple wins in doubles. It always can help your career.
Another player who I had a chance to speak with today, oddly enough, also a big doubles singles guy, not a college tennis player, but Vasek Pospisil, who I ran into at 10XTO, who happened to be our sponsor today. This is coincidental, but it just shows you some of the top level players that are stopping by there to train with head pro Eddie Nguyen. And so I stopped by. I was there to hit with my son, my 10-year-old son, Emmett. Turns out Vasek was there, and my son was just like mesmerized watching him hit and how powerful and controlled it was. And it kind of threw me back to when I was a kid watching the pros, and how, it just hooks you on a sport in a different way when you can see them up close and personal. We got to chat with Vasek afterwards. I asked him a few questions. My son got in one, so future Match Point Canada podcast host, perhaps one day when I'm ready to hang up the microphone. And his question to Vasek was, who is the toughest opponent you've ever beat? And my son's Vasek's answer was Andy Murray, who he beat at Indian Wells back in, I believe, 2017.
Yeah.
The only time he beat him in their 6 head-to-head matches, but that's certainly one you can look back on fondly. And just to share a little bit more about Vasek and what he was saying, because as we know, injuries have been an issue. The elbow's been an issue for the last year and a half. He says he's been feeling really great the last month, that he feels like he's turning a corner. He's going to do a hard training block right now leading into the National Bank Open, where he's definitely planning on playing. super stoked for Davis Cup in the fall. He looked at the roster that was announced. Ben, maybe you can remind me, who are all the guys on the Davis Cup
Well,
team
we have
this fall?
Felix and Dennis and Milos and I believe and Gabriel Diallo.
There
So
you go.
that's a loaded roster. Literally, our highest ranked Canadians are all going to be there.
Yeah, so the players are feeling excited about it too. And Vasek says, like, if everybody's healthy and able to be there, this is a team that can contend with any nation in the world. And I would fully agree with that as well. He did mention he's not ready to turn the page on singles yet. He does think that maybe down the road doubles will be something a little easier on the body, but for now he wants to give it one more push, try and get his ranking up. Although in doubles news, and this will be breaking Canadian doubles news, he is planning on playing the National Bank Open alongside Denis Shapovalov. Assuming that Tennis Canada grants the wild card, they will be putting in the request, and that would be a good little preview for them ahead of Davis Cup 2, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And that's great news. I know, I had a long conversation with Vasek obviously earlier in the year. If you haven't had a chance, check out that episode. It's also on YouTube. And he's just sort of thinking about playing out the final couple of years of his career, but basically said he feels good physically from a conditioning standpoint, but it's just been tough sort of resetting with all these injuries, and his ranking suffered as a result. But I know he's still hungry to get back and give himself one more shot to play in some bigger events. So I'm sure the National Bank Open is obviously one he has circled.
And maybe now is a good time for a word from our sponsor, Ben, from
Yeah,
10XTO.
perfect timing that we had Vasek there. As you know, 10XTO Athletic Club is an inspired private member athletic club located at Hotel X, right in the heart of the exhibition grounds. Encased in floor-to-ceiling glass, 10XTO was deliberately designed to bring the outside in, providing breathtaking views of downtown Toronto and Lake Ontario. Featuring 4 world-class indoor tennis courts that give players the feeling of year-round outdoor play without the elements, a state-of-the-art fitness center, and a high-performance strength zone, and access to the rooftop pool. 10XTO provides a truly unmatched member experience. Visit 10xto.com. That's 10xto.com for more information.
And that rooftop pool, I mean, that's the key for me. My son and I went for a dip
That's
after
the
our hit
peak
today, and what better way to finish after an hour on the tennis courts? Another word from one of our sponsors today, and we're really happy to have Fielding Estate Winery on board again in the month of July. And you can enjoy breathtaking views at Fielding Estate Winery's outdoor vineyard lounge in Beamsville, Ontario. I've been there before, actually, with my wife. It's beautiful.
Nice.
They got live music on weekends, a delicious seasonal menu, premium wine and cider by the glass, and flights available as well. Go to fieldingwines.com and use our promo code MATCHPOINT for 10% off of your purchase.
Yeah, this is leading into my one vacation week so far this year at the cottage in Laurentians, Quebec, and we're taking up a case of the Fielding wine. I'm not so much a wine drinker, but my family is, so they're definitely going to enjoy. As we move on a little bit in terms of ATP action, we'll get to WT action as well. Quieter week, but obviously I think the big news was the return of Rafael Nadal, who of course bypassed Wimbledon for his body staying on the clay and playing in Gstaad, Sweden, a place he hadn't played since 2005, which incredibly enough, he actually won the title back in 2005. And here he is 19 years later, reaching the finals and losing to Nuno Borges, the Portuguese player, winning his first career title. I watched back his press conference after his loss, and Rafa said, okay, the positive is I made a final, but he said he was not satisfied. What do you take away, I guess, from Rafa at least returning to a final for the first time in over 2 years?
It's fantastic to have him back. It's fantastic to see him get through a tournament on his own steam, not having any injury issues or withdrawals or retirements. I think that's a positive. Doesn't surprise me at all that the guy's still kind of ticked off that it wasn't exactly what he wanted. I mean, look, when he goes out there, especially on clay, this guy still must believe that he's going to be the better player between him and his opponent.
Yeah.
I mean, for those of us watching from a distance, it's going to take time, but this is a fantastic result to have just ahead of the Olympics. And, one thing we're going to talk about on a future episode is the Roger Federer documentary that came out recently on Amazon Prime. And I was watching it last night. And, at one point, Roger says, I'm glad I'm the first of the big 4 to retire and that you guys can sort of follow me and have your time on your own. But Nadal says at some point, I always thought it was going to be me to retire first because of all the things he was dealing with his body. So it's great to see him back out there. I think it's going to add another little twist to the Olympics, which is best of 3 sets, I believe, correct? Which is,
Yeah,
I
yeah, it
think,
is. Yep.
way better for him and his body right now. And so I'm very excited, and like this just piques my curiosity now to see what the guy's going to do when he hits the clay at Roland Garros for the Olympics.
Yeah, and look, he said he's not satisfied and didn't like the way he played in the final, that he felt a little low on energy. And 38-year-old Rafael Nadal, no shame in feeling low on energy. I think pretty much anyone would have. He played the second longest match of his career in a best of 3 format, 3 hours 59 minutes with Mariano Navone, I believe in the quarterfinals. So to have to make the turnaround after that, he was playing some doubles with Casper Ruud, but they had to pull out after he played that 4-hour epic match. I think the biggest takeaway and biggest positive for Rafa is his body held together after that much tennis without getting a break in days between matches. And I would say he notched a couple still quality wins, beating Navone, for example, who's a good clay court player, and beating Cameron Norrie in his second match of the tournament.
Yeah, and look, all these guys have been playing all throughout the season, right? Like
Yeah.
he's going up against players, and they might not be household names, some of them, but these are players who are adept to the surface, who have been going all year long, who are in a groove, in a rhythm, and he's coming out cold and still making it to the finals. So that's terrific stuff. And the fact that after that epically long match, he was able to come back out and play again, I think that speaks, volumes to where he's at physically right now then.
Yeah, definitely. I'll continue on quickly. I didn't closely, I'll admit, follow the coverage at the Hamburg Open, which was our one ATP 500 and technically the biggest event of the week. And Frenchman Arthur Fils getting the biggest title of his career at the 500 level, defeating Alexander Zverev in what was a tense 3-set final. Zverev obviously playing in Germany, having the crowd behind him. And Fils in this match in the third set, towards the end, he started serving underhand because he was cramping, not necessarily as a tactic of kind of that short underarm serve where you're trying to surprise your
Like a Nick
opponent.
Kyrgios.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or a Bublik. We've seen it a lot from Alexander Bublik, but this was out of exhaustion and his body almost breaking down. The crowd took a lot of exception to it. I don't think Zverev helped him out in the response at all. And then a very cold handshake from Zverev after losing the match to young Arthur Fils, who I think is a really respectful, great talent, really nice guy. And look, we've talked about this before. Beyond all the off-court issues, which now mostly seem to be resolved for Sasha Zverev in terms of, going
Legal
to
perspective.
court, a legal perspective. I just think this guy is a bit of a jerk. I just think he doesn't have sportsmanship or class, and many times he's rubbed me the wrong way with his behavior, even on the court in tennis.
Yeah, I mean, same here. We've talked about him over the years and often sort of danced around things with him over the years as well. But I'm not a huge fan. I'll say that, up front. Spoken with him numerous times. Never had the warm and fuzzies from him. Just not a real fan of the way that he chooses to, talk about others and handle himself just in a tennis perspective. So that's actually all I want to say. But Arthur Fils on the positive side, what a great emerging talent. And
Yeah.
for French tennis, who on the men's side, in particular for years had a core of players like Tsonga,
Yeah.
Gasquet, Gilles Simon.
Gilles Simon, great example.
I feel like I'm forgetting one of the other ones, but they had this
Richard Gasquet. Sorry, did you say him?
I think I said it. Yeah, there's another one I think I'm forgetting about. But at any rate,
Yep.
they had a core of great players. They had so much depth. You'd look down the rankings, there'd be French flags everywhere. And when those guys retired, or I know Gasquet's still playing, but who's going to fill that void? And every country goes through this at some point. You
Yep.
can't tell me that the Swiss right now, Federer's gone, Wawrinka's just barely hanging on. There's ups and downs for sure. And you hope that in the pipeline, there's players that are going to come up and replenish some of those stars. But great to see that the French have someone like Arthur Fils, who is just, exciting game, seems like a great guy, fun to watch. And he's had some pretty big results this season. It's kind of a coming out party for him, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. And he was one of those guys kind of on the radar last year as a potential breakout player. And he's obviously done it. And to get as I said, the biggest title of his career this past week in Hamburg. That's just another step forward. Ugo Humbert, he's another guy in the top 20 who's had a really good season. Quickly, before we go over to the women's side, Matteo Berrettini winning a title at the Swiss Open, which was big, and defeating Felix Auger-Aliassime in the quarterfinals. I will say, at least for Felix, from his perspective, I'm glad he's healthy back on the court. He did win a match before losing to Matteo in 2 tiebreaks. So he's back. He's getting a couple reps on the clay, at least ahead of the Olympics, which I think is somewhat of a positive.
Yeah, and great to see Berrettini as well, someone who has struggled mightily with injuries the last little while. We almost forget what he's capable of when he's healthy, and what he had done at Wimbledon a few years back. And for Felix, I mean, we'll discuss in a bit when we talk about Olympic preview and our Canadians, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what he can now do with, beyond the Olympics with the hard court swing, and then his bread and butter, which is going to be the indoor session as well, to hopefully continue to keep his ranking in that top 20 phase. And I think we've said it before, but with Felix, it's so interesting because I don't want to say we're too hard on the guy, but I feel like, we have expectations, and yet he's still top 20 on the ATP. So
yeah, no, I know. Obviously we saw a big dip last year. Maybe this season it's leveled out a little bit more, but we always want more. And obviously we saw him in the top 10 there in 2022 and playing at the ATP finals. And that becomes the bar that Canadian fans maybe set for Felix, and that belief that that's where he should potentially be. And
yeah, and even though nothing's a given, like, this is a kid who from a young age people thought, okay, he's going to be a top 10 talent, right? Like the star potential, we always knew it was there. So maybe we're putting a little bit too much on him, but at the same point, we know he's capable of it.
Definitely. If we talk a little bit women's side, a couple small tournaments in Italy, Zheng Qinwen, who was the Australian Open finalist, getting a big title over a former French Open finalist in Karolina Muchova, just a name we have really not seen for basically the entirety of the season. So I was happy to see her back in a final. And Zheng, who I felt like had some lulls and dips after that Aussie Open run, kind of finding her top game again. And she's won twice now in Italy, repeating as champion. So that's big for her.
And for Muchova, I mean, look, this is only, I think, the second tournament back since last year's US Open. Wow. The first was Eastbourne on grass, and now here she is already making a final. So that's fantastic stuff. And similar to what we said about Nadal, if you're going to make it all the way to the final, your body must be feeling pretty good. So that's terrific to see. Otherwise, I know it was a quiet week on court, maybe for the women, but off the court, some Canadian tennis news that Carol Zhao got married over in Italy. And if you look through any of the Instagram stories, it was full of guests like Jeannie Bouchard, Aaron Rutliff, Gabby Dabrowski, and so kind of cool to see them there. And I can say for sure Jeannie Bouchard will not have a career after tennis or pickleball as a singer, but boy, was she ever belting them out in her Instagram videos.
Nice. Well, good for her. That reminds me, just being back here in Kingston as we record this, and had a doubles tournament. We had an amusing karaoke night on Saturday. Hopefully no videos will be shared of me singing or attempting to sing.
That could be our intro song moving forward, maybe. Just you at karaoke in
Kingston. My rendition of Counting Crows. Not sure you want to hear it. As we look ahead to end of the week, it's only every 4 years we get to talk about Olympic tennis. And this is a big year, I think, in the sense of having 5 Canadians competing: Leila Aney-Fernandez, Bianca Andreescu, Milos Raonic, Felix Auger-Aliassime, who we just mentioned, and Gabby Dabrowski in the doubles field. I posed this question actually on Tennis Canada's YouTube channel. Which Canadian do you expect to make the deepest run in singles? I was pretty stunned by the results of this poll. 40% felt Felix could make the deepest run.
Interesting. I was going to answer Gabby, but you said singles, so okay. But I do think that Gabby and Leila have a great shot in women's doubles.
Absolutely.
And they've got chemistry together from Billie Jean King Cup for sure. As for the singles players, I mean, for me personally, I'd go with one of the women, to be honest.
Yeah, same.
I just got good feelings with Bianca. I just feel like, she's healthy again. She's a very dangerous player. She can do it on any surface. That's just, my heart is going, that's my gut instinct, is to say Bianca. One player who I have absolutely no expectations for, and I mean no disrespect in saying this, but Milos Raonic, who has not played a ton on clay, but he wants this experience. He deserves this experience. And I'm really happy for him that he's going to get, a final Olympic Games before I don't know if it's this year or next year, but whenever he hangs up the racket. We know how important this was to him. It was one of the big things he mentioned to us in the 2 times he's been on the podcast since returning to the tour last summer. It meant a lot for him. He's very, very patriotic, and I'm just really jazzed that he's gonna get that opportunity.
And look, he has a really epic Olympic tennis memory for those who might remember when he played in London in 2012. You already mentioned Jo-Wilfried Tsonga, by the way. They played the longest ever Olympic match, best of 3 Olympic match in tennis history. And because when you enter the third set, it's not settled by a tiebreak, these guys just kept going and going. And I believe the final score in the third set was something like 25-23 for Tsonga in just this extraordinary Olympic match that would not end. And I can't remember how far Tsonga went in that draw, but it was a second round match in London on the grass. So that is a kind of a fascinating stat bit for Milos to be a part of that. He set a new record this season, as we know, with the most aces ever hit in a best of 3 tennis match. So, hey, maybe we'll find a way to get another Milos record. I don't know if it'll happen at the Olympics, but you never know.
Yeah, no pressure, Milos, but go get one for us. But great to see him there. And look, I know it's clay, but still that serve, like nobody's going to want to face that serve. Nobody's going to see Milos's name in that draw and be like, oh, this is a great start for me to ease into the tournament. I mean,
seriously,
you're going to get short points. You're going to get bombed with the serve. I'm excited to watch it. And, just on a larger scale, super excited to watch the Olympics in general. Like I will be watching the tennis, of course, but all these sports that I don't say they only come along every 4 years because that's not fair, but I'll be open. I don't get to watch them on a regular basis, in between Olympics, and for my kids as well. And I don't know about you, but I got so many vivid memories of Canadian Olympics, in particular summertime. Donovan Bailey back in '96. Daniel Nestor and Sebastien Leroux in I think 2002. Maybe my year's off on that one. 2000. I think it was 2000. Sorry.
Yeah, 2000. Yep.
In Sydney. And so I'm just excited for the whole event overall. And I think the opening ceremonies look like they're going to be pretty darn cool as well this Friday, from what I've seen in the previews too.
Yeah, the Olympics are a unique, incredible experience and a special one that I think no athlete ever forgets. And so, as you said, I'm so happy Milos is getting this final opportunity to go. And as you circled, it was a huge goal of his. Before we wrap up on Olympic conversation, I mean, maybe a couple of favorites. I think it's safe to say Carlos Alcaraz is the favorite on the men's side. He simply has to be for what he's accomplished, winning Roland Garros and Wimbledon back-to-back and looking like the best player on the world. And so surface diverse, and he'll be playing doubles with Rafa, which will be incredibly cool no matter how far or how far they manage to go, or even if they lose early. I think that's special. And then what can Novak do after making a Wimbledon final and now shifting back and having this really lifelong goal since he's been a tennis player to medal at the Olympics and get a gold?
I got to ask you, because you're more the analytical tennis mind between the two of us and the tennis player, that's for sure, between the two of us. But do you think the surface switch going from, clay to grass to back to clay, is that an advantage for someone like Novak or a disadvantage? I want to say advantage because of his experience, but disadvantage because the body and the toll maybe it takes going back and forth.
I actually think in this case, especially given his age and what he said about sort of going into clay seasons, is a bit of a disadvantage. I'm hoping he feels well. I want to see him go deep in the tournament. I think it would make it a lot more exciting just to see him progress. However, you look at his results on clay, especially the past handful of years, he's not been winning titles early on in the clay season. He normally finds success kind of a week or two before Roland Garros. And he says, switching to that new surface and feeling comfortable in my movements. And he calls it the most physical surface of them all, obviously from a conditioning standpoint, the most physically demanding because of how long and stressful the rallies can be. So I think it's going to be a bit of a disadvantage, and maybe it's probably advantageous to some of the players who are traditionally clay quarters and some of the guys who've maybe played this past week and are feeling really good on their surface. Who knows? Maybe Arthur Fils, I believe he's going. Maybe he makes a bit of a run. I think those are the guys who are going to feel a little more comfortable and confident. And we shouldn't leave out Rafa out of the conversation, by the way, just for the fact that it's at Roland Garros, right?
And listen, this draw is going to be something else as well, both in the men's and the women's field.
Yeah.
And in the, you've got some players that are there with protected rankings,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean they're getting a seed next to their name. They could fall anywhere in that draw. I mean,
Totally.
in theory, you could have Novak and Rafa in the first round.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Imagine
possible.
that.
Oh
right?
my God.
Like, imagine how unlucky that would be. But like, stranger things have happened. So
no, it's true.
And then on the women's side, I mean, Iga Swiatek, big,
far
heavy,
and away the favorite.
Almost impossible not to, not impossible not to, but it's going to be tough for her not to with just the skill set. And I mean, she's won there 4 out of the last 5 years at Roland Garros, and it's the same place. So I think for her, she had a shorter grass court season. She ended Wimbledon before she would have liked to, but just gives her more time to go back and train on the clay again.
Yeah, and look, I think it's an Iga versus the field scenario. Arina Sabalenka is not there as well, and if she were there, I would certainly put her in the top 3, top 4 of favorites. But her absence, maybe that makes things even easier for Iga. Let's see what Rybakina can do competing at the Olympics. Obviously, she felt very close at Wimbledon. She could have won that match against Krejcikova, the eventual champion. So she could be right there. And then, maybe Jasmine Paolini is capable of another run. I mean, she's made back-to-back Grand Slam finals. Maybe Zheng, who's coming in with some momentum, winning in Italy, feels good on the clay. I think there are other names to watch for. I will mention before we wrap up here, Marketa Vondrousova did pull out of the Olympics, so she's not going to be in the field.
Paolini, just one thing I want to say there. It's, we mentioned how the back-to-back, you call it the Channel Slam, but her finalist channel, whatever you want to call it, making the finals at Roland Garros and Wimbledon, not something that's been done all too often. I wonder how many times it's been done: Roland Garros, Wimbledon final, and Olympic medal final for a gold or a silver. I mean,
maybe literally never.
and the way that she's been playing, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw her there either.
Yeah.
Right. Now, listen, before we wrap, one thing that's almost as good as winning an Olympic medal is winning tickets from our recent giveaway.
Yep.
See what I did there?
Nice
and we've
segue.
got 2 pairs that were given away to the Wednesday, August 7th of the National Bank Open here in Toronto, which is the night that Leylah Annie Fernandez will have her debut match. And happy to announce that Christy L has 1 pair of tickets coming to her, as well as
Scary Trent Jr. from X. We will DM you with ticket details. Seems like a Raptors fan, but also a tennis fan. So congratulations to Christy and Scary Trent Jr. Night session with Leylah is going to be electric, honestly. Just even watching the highlights from when she played in Montreal last year and had a bit of a run, it seemed so exciting, and nobody plays off the crowd better than Leylah.
And I just want to say for our listeners, if you haven't received a pair yet this year, keep putting in your name. We don't have any to offer on this week's episode, but we will have tickets coming forward and for the later stages of the event as well, which will be cool. So keep touching base if you're going to be in Toronto between August 4th and August 12th, and hopefully we can hook you up with something. And, if it doesn't work out, touch base with us during the event. We love meeting our listeners and getting to chat with them. I had a random lines person who approached me in Granby and was like, "Hey, Mike, love the pod." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Didn't expect that coming."
That's cool.
So yeah, we love to talk with any tennis fans, really, whether you listen to the pod or not. I want to thank Mia Kupres and Ariana Arseneault for joining us this week as our guests. We want to thank 10XTO for being a wonderful sponsor and presence for us on the pod throughout the season. We want to thank Fielding Winery as well for joining us this July and hooking us up with some tasty wine that our listeners also, that promo code again is MatchPoint. You can use that for 10% off with them.
One final thing before we go. I need to wish a happy birthday to my co-host, Mike McIntyre, turning 40.
Yeah, turning another year, turning a year older, and turning a year older.
Okay, it starts with a 4. We won't end it. But
hey, listen, just like we don't need to know what Counting Crows song you sung at karaoke, we don't need to know the exact year I'm turning. But thank you, my friend. You've got a few years to catch up to me, and we'll have to celebrate at the NBO together one of those nights.
Yeah, can't wait. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Matchpoint Canada. We will talk to you next time.